Tori Amos in the 93.3 KGSR Music Lounge. Thank you for playing Upside Down. That was my request. I figure if I have one chance to ask Tori to play a song, I should make it a good one, right? And before that, we heard Winter, which brings me to my first question for you, Tori. Congratulations, first of all. January will have been 20 years since Little Earthquakes, your major label debut, was released. Quite a milestone for you. And I heard that you're doing something to celebrate.
We're doing something different for next year. Usually you'll see everybody that has their 20 year, they re-release the record and it's remastered, and that's nice. But if you already have it, whatever. The thing is, I thought do something a little different, and we met up with the Metropole Orchestra. They're from Holland, and we had played a concert with them a year ago, and we decided, well, we should record and let's do more. So we picked quite a few songs from over the last 20 years, some from Little Earthquakes, things that didn't make the record, like Flying Dutchman, things that did make the record, such as Precious Things and Winter and Silent, and we recorded those with the 56-piece orchestra. So it's a different arrangement, but it's a lot of fun, and that'll be out sometime next year.
Okay, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
So it's good fun.
So speaking about working with the orchestra and working with songs from your past, I don't know if it's very common knowledge that you were accepted at the Peabody, is that how you pronounce it?
The Peabody Conservatory.
The Peabody Conservatory, yes. When you were 3 years old.
Actually, I was accepted when I was 5.
When she was 5.
Yeah.
Still, okay, 2 years. I mean, most kids are like tying their shoes and you're all writing classical compositions. That leads me to believe that this new album, Night of Hunters, has kind of been boiling deep down inside for a while. Would you agree with that? Or were there things from your early education that came out in this? Was there a tie back to there?
It was very clear when I was there, so I was there till I was 11, that female composers did not have a great shot. Even now, if you're in that world or film composing or even musical theater, it's much more of a boys' club. The contemporary music scene is much more open to women, songwriters as well as performers. But they made it very clear to me then, because they said, so what do you want to do, concert pianist? I said, no way. I don't want to play some dead guy stuff for the rest of my life. What if I want to be the architect? And they said, well, female architects don't do very well. And I said, and why is that? Because you don't fund them and give them the jobs, in my speak. And so it was very clear that if I wanted to break in through that world, I'd have to do it another way. And of course, I love contemporary music, but there was no illusion back then that women composers for film or for musical theater or for classical music were treated equally, and they are still not. So when Deutsche Grammophon approached me, and you don't knock on their door. You don't go to the Germans and say, will you fund my idea, please? That doesn't happen. They find you, and it's usually a doctor of something, and they're German, and they come to you and say, we have an idea. And that's how it works.
So that's how it started.
And you don't say no, because they won't ask you again.
Well, do you think they will ask you again?
Well, they're doing the Dutch orchestra. They're doing the next one for next year. So it went well. But if I'd blown it, they wouldn't have.
Well, I don't think that you blew it, and I don't think that your beautiful daughter did a bad job at all with the vocals that we can find on the album for her. You said she was 10 years old when she recorded them?
She was 10 years old. She sang 4 songs on the record. She played Annabelle. And it was... There was a moment where the mom and me and the producer and me had a bit of an argument, because there were people on the team saying, do you really think it's fair to put a 10-year-old through this? And the mother would say, no, maybe not. Maybe that's not a good thing to do. And the producer would say, you need to leave the room. And so the producer worked with Natasha, and everything went well.
She did a wonderful job.
She did a great job, yeah.
She really did. So talking about classical composing, you're talking about writing for Broadway, which is something else that you're doing right now. You're writing for The Light Princess.
Yes.
How is that going?
We have another workshop into February, March, and this is with the British National Theatre. And so when you work with them, you have to walk a very thin line, because it must be artistic in order to play at their theater and not overly commercial and camp. and maybe I got carried away with camp for a bit. So now I'm back to middle ground with the team. And it's a very exciting project because the truth of this, everyone, is you get to launch your first musical one time. And you don't want to be closing within 3 weeks of that launch. So you need to get it right on the front end. The night that it gets launched in the world, the whole world will know if it's crap or if it's really good. So it's better you take the time and get it right. So that's what we're doing.
It sounds like a plan. Is there a projected time for when that might be done, or?
Before I'm 80.
All right, so I just have one more question before we get back to the music here for you. This tour, Tori will be at the Bass Concert Hall tonight, and tickets are still available through c3concerts.com. Is this the first tour you've done without your band in over a decade? And you have a special section of, is it from Berlin, this?
A string quartet.
A string quartet.
They live in Germany, but they're Polish, and they went to the Vienna Conservatory, and they are strict classical players. But they played on the album. Deutsche Grammophon found them, as well as the woodwind section that played. And we saw them playing and thought, wow, if we take them on the road, we would have to rearrange everything, all the back catalog. But when you take those kinds of players, you don't have to dumb it down. When you get players that are just only used to maybe pop music, then for the more classically oriented arrangements, we would have to rearrange them on a different level. And we felt that we didn't want to do that. So it would be easier, because they can play anything, to get them to be open to coming and playing in a very different world. They're usually used to playing with people with blue hair. They're not, and they're only 28, 30 to 32. So it's very different for them playing to a more contemporary audience. But yes, it's a quartet that I'm playing with on stage.
So tonight we can expect some reimagined versions of your older songs, and it should be
But
be
they're
beautiful.
the Fab Four for classical Polish guys.
Excellent. All right, we are in the KGSR Music Lounge with Tori Amos, and I suppose we should get back to the last two songs you got for us here.